Shetani ashinde mfululizo. 5,000 types of lies.
The greatness of a nation.
To speak truth to power.
Hi guys, how are you today? Thank you so much for tuning in to Sikiliza TV. My name is Wilson Ochar and I'll be your political analyst for today. And in today's topic of conversation, I'd like us to talk about this NIKO KADI wave. And is Gen Z storming IEBC? And many Kenyans are asking, is President Ruto in trouble? And then tonight's story is not just political, it's generational, it's powerful, and it could shape a 2027 election, because across Kenya, Gen Z youth are flooding the IEBC offices in huge numbers under one slogan, NIKO KADI. But the big question is this just voter registration or the beginning of a political earthquake? So let's just watch this video and we're going to get back and break it down.
Eyes on the 2027 polls now, and pressure is mounting on the electoral body, IEBC, to bolster its staff numbers to cope with the high number of Gen Z youth registering as voters. The IEBC appears overwhelmed following the surge in numbers of youth registering as voters due to an ongoing NIKO KADI campaign aimed at effecting change in the forthcoming elections. Young voters continue to throng various centers, outnumbering the available IEBC staff. And as Martin Opio reports, politicians have been told to keep off from the campaign.
Kibra constituency. The Gen Z wave under the banner NIKO KADI was on the ground with efforts to mobilize the young population to register as voters. Just as they did during the protest against the 2024 finance bill, mobilization was done online, with many turning up to register, numbers that appear to overwhelm IEBC staff.
Why is it that IEBC is not ready to register people while the same IEBC was calling us out for not registering as voters? Right now, tumekuja hapa in large numbers. We have only 2 IEBC clerks. And that means that when the rain starts falling, itatunyeshea hapa, or some people will definitely go back home minus registering as voters.
So that's the IEBC, number one, to increase its staff resources. That is number one, to cover almost all populations, because this is one of the ways in which voter suppression happens, when the youths are not able to register themselves effectively because of the insufficient number of staff.
The IEBC has been accused of failing to adequately prepare. Politicians and the IEBC have been warned against upcoming elections.
Kuna mkono itakuwa ya kushake. Saizi utakuta have kushake 50 million Kenyans mkono. Kutakuwa na monkey business.
Tunataka kubadilisha nchi yetu. Either they like it or not, kuanzia wale viongozi wa juu hadi chini. Term ni moja. Hata ukwe mzuri dakika ya mwisho, hata ukuje dakika ya mwisho uombe msamaha. Tunafagia wote. Hatuendi kutolerate by the way. Hapa niko kura, unaona hii ni kura by the way. Tunaambia tuko kadi tayari.
The NIKO KADI campaign has mobilized thousands of young people, challenging the notion that Gen Z do not turn out to vote. Politicians seen attempting to hijack the movement by using the tag NIKO KADI have also been told to keep off.
The president must say that ako kadi, but if you play the game of cards, unajua kuna poka, si tuko poka. So tutaona kwenye ataenda. And kama ako kadi ni red cards.
This time ni sisi tuna vote, si wazazi wetu. And mimi naambia tu wazazi, kama uko about 50 years, please weka kwa nyumba, hatukutaki kwa line. Sisi vijana tuko wengi, we can vote.
The youth insist that this time round they will not only vote but also vie for leadership positions.
We are ready for 2027. We are ready should any by-election come. We are ready to be in those offices. And also, it's not on. NIKO KADI is not only for registering and voters. NIKO KADI also encompasses the young leaders who want to step and lead the country.
The exercise continued in various areas, including Kasarani and Langata. At the IEBC headquarters, large crowds turned up, forcing some to queue outside the offices.
There's been this notion that our votes don't matter. No, like the Gen Zs or millennials, but now we have turned up in mass numbers, as you can see behind me.
It's high time we actually stood our ground and took accountability for the future we actually want, voting leaders who will actually work for the people instead of against the people.
The IEBC is expected to officially launch mass voter registration next Monday. Martin Opio, KTN.
Yeah, guys, so from that video you can clearly see what is happening on the ground, and according to reports like KTN News, it clearly states that IEBC offices were overwhelmed, long queues of young people registering to vote. There's a lot of energy and excitement and urgency, but the problem is only 2 clerks in some centers with extremely long waiting lines and risk of people leaving before registration is complete, where some youths are now calling this as indirect voter suppression, because if the system cannot handle the demand, then participation is limited. And the message from the Gen Zs is that this movement is not random, and if you listen to what they're saying, is that this time there's been no handshake. There'll be, leaders will have to shake the hands of all 50 million Kenyans, and every leader will be one term. And even more powerful is that this is not just about voting, it is also about running for leadership. And a direct message to legacy politicians is that your time is up. Even political elites are taking notice, because former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, now openly associating with this NIKO KADI movement, is strongly encouraging the youth to register in large numbers. And that tells you one thing, that this movement is no longer underground. It is now part of mainstream political strategy. And many Kenyans are asking, why is this political headache for President Ruto? And the theories they've formulated is that the Gen Z are reviving their rage from back in June 2024. Because as we all remember, in June 2024, the Gen Z stormed the parliament over the finance bill, and a movement driven by anger and frustration. And then what happened is that the momentum slowed down, because we all remember former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga was able to intervene before the Gen Z went to storm into the State House, and that rage must have slowed their momentum at that time. And now that energy seems to have returned back, and it's not on the streets, but this time it's on the ballot box. And this is more dangerous politically, because protest disrupts, but votes remove governments. And yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts? Is the Gen Z reviving their old rage with this NIKO KADI generation? Because many Kenyans seems to be suggesting that the Gen Z are back, and that they're here to continue or finish what they started in June 2024. And let me know in the comment section if this is what is happening. The other theory many Kenyans have formulated is that from the streets to the ballots, this generation is trying something new. They're not just resisting power, but they're looking to capture it. And their message is, we protested, now we vote. And even more, we will not allow any rigging, because they believe they have the numbers, they have the technology, they have the coordination via social media, and this directly challenges the credibility of election and the control of traditional political systems. Yeah, guys, also let me know on the comment section about this. What are your thoughts? Are the Gen Z moving away from the streets into the ballot? And are they going to use their numbers and tech-savvy knowledge to mobilize their support and the traditional political systems? Let me know in the comment section if the Gen Z are going to show their real numbers in the ballot instead of in the streets. The third theory many Kenyans are formulating is that this could be the end of tribal politics, where it gets dangerous for traditional politicians, because the Gen Zs are not voting along tribal lines, and the agenda is very simple, one term, as they sing, and they're not asking where are you from or which community you present. They're asking, are you delivering? And if this holds, it breaks their entire Kenya political formula. And let me know in the comment section, are the Gen Z going to end the tribal politics in the upcoming elections in 2027? Are they going to vote along tribal lines, or are they going to vote for a specific candidate such as Senator Edwin Sifuna, who's commanding the Linda Mwananchi party with the backing of the Gen Z support. So let me know in the comment section and I'll appreciate it. And the fourth theory many Kenyans are formulating is that the propaganda doesn't work on them. Traditional politics relied on messaging, narratives, and emotional persuasion, but the Gen Z, they fact check, they research, and they debate online. Therefore, you cannot easily manipulate them. And remember, social media is their battlefield. And so let me know in the comment section, are the Gen Z propaganda proof? Are they able to be persuaded through messaging and political messaging, political narratives, and emotional persuasion? Let me know in the comment section. The fifth theory that many Kenyans are formulating online is that there's a family influence effect, in that this is one which is being underrated but very powerful, because many Gen Z youth support their families, and some are financially active than the older generation. And so what happens is the young generation, they influence the household voting decisions. And we imagine a situation where a young person telling their parents that this system didn't work for you, let's change it. And that influence spreads, and from one home to millions. And yeah, guys, let me know this about this, your thoughts, because we have a situation where right now a lot of Gen Z are able to get their own source of income. We have Gen Z who are monetizing their accounts on social media, being able to make significant income to support their families. And when their families tend to look around and see their elder brothers and sisters, they invested money in them, but they did not succeed in getting an employment, and therefore right now the youngest member of the family seems to be supporting the whole family, then all of a sudden the youngest member of the family becomes influential, in that they tend to remind the parents and their older siblings that you guys voted for the old political system and it did not work for you. So how about you join our new NIKO KADI movement and support young leaders so that they can bring this change together. And given the fact that they have that family influence, they tend to be very persuasive, and this could also sway votes away from the old generation, the millennials and above, and to support the Gen Z. And this could also be a reason why President Ruto is having serious political headache, or at least most Kenyans are formulating online. And so the big questions is President Ruto in trouble? Let's be honest, it depends if this movement sustains momentum, because it's 2026. The election is 2027 in August. And so if they are able to sustain this momentum up to 2027, then it could translate to actual votes. It could produce credible candidates, and this could become a political threat to President William Ruto. But if it loses energy, if it stays online only, if it fails to organize politically, then it fades like many movements before it, and President William Ruto could end up a two-term president. And therefore, the NIKO KADI movement is not just about voter registration. It's about power, identity, generational change, and possibly the biggest political shift Kenya has seen in years. And so let me know in the comment section, guys, is the Gen Z about to reshape Kenyan politics in 2027 elections? Will this movement last until 2027? And is this the end of tribal voting? And lastly, can this movement actually remove a sitting president? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video if you've watched this far. Share it across Kenya, and subscribe to Sikiliza TV. Because here we don't just report politics, we decode power. And as usual, stay informed, stay critical, and stay tuned to Sikiliza TV. It has been my time. My name is Wilson Ochar. I've been your host for today, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.